Have you ever met somebody who just knew the right words to say to you to just soothe your soul? Just speak to somewhere deep down inside you. If you're lucky, it's one of your friends, maybe somebody in your family. It might be a book that you read where one of the characters or even the author just spoke to you in such a way that it just healed you and helped you and guided you on your path. There's a word for a person like that in the relationship that you have with them, and that's Anam Cara, a soul friend, somebody that is there with you, just connected with you, that helps you to get through everything. If you're lucky, you'll have many. You'll always have at least one, even if you don't recognize them. Today, we're going to be talking about the soul friends, our Anam Cara, as we walk together down creation's paths. Hello, everyone. My name is Charlie. I am a Christopagan Druid and priest of Bridget.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian, a Christopagan Druid and sous chef to the Dagda.
Today, we're going to be talking about the Anam Cara, who they are, how to recognize them a little bit, and maybe even how to be one yourself. But before we get into all of that, if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, whatever the terminology happens to be on whatever app you're listening to us on. We do 5 original Christopagan and Druid episodes Monday through Friday, and you don't want to miss a thing, especially right now while we're going through our Druidcraft 101 series. All right, let's just get into it, shall we?
In Chapter 5, we were reading about health and rejuvenation and its ways. So what does it have to do with soul friends?
The soul friends are the people that keep you alive. And I mean that very literally in some senses. They're the ones that just have that feeling of, oh, my friend is depressed, and then just show up out of the blue. They're the ones that just get you that little gift when you least suspected it. They're the ones that listen to you and talk to you and help you out. We have them mixed throughout life. Sometimes we're very fortunate. We get to marry our Anam Cara, which I think I've been fortunate enough to do. And right, it's not my only Anam Cara. I have several soul friends in my life. I'm very fortunate that way.
Anam Cara is beyond recognitions of monogamy or any of that bits.
Because it's not a romantic love. We're not
It's
talking
not a
about
romantic love. No.
a romantic or an erotic love. It's a very spiritual bond that you have with somebody that is, to me, the stage beyond best friends. Like, I have some people that I would call my best friend, but we talk about things. We know a lot about each other. We're there for each other. But having had the experience of having an Anam Cara, having a soul friend, we don't actually connect on that deepest of levels. Now, I've had a best friend turn into an Anam Cara. That has happened for me in the past. But you often, there's something when you first meet them, they're like platonic soulmates. If I can, you try to use a weird phrase, try to put it, they're those people that you meet and you're just like, we're supposed to be friends. Like this, yeah, been looking for you. There's a recognition there. And like I said, sometimes they're going to be teachers. And I think that's the way that this phrase gets used a lot, is in this idea that they are somebody that you're going to be in a teacher student relationship with. And I don't want to take away from that at all. I think that is very much a part of this. And I think a lot of the Anam Cara that we have, a lot of our soul friends, are going to be that kind of person, somebody that we have this kind of just deep relationship with. I know that there are various writers and poets that just speak directly to my soul, and in ways that often I can't really explain. But I know that when I'm really struggling with things, I will read Tolkien, for example. I do consider Tolkien one of my Anam Cara. Like, there's something about his writings that speak directly to my heart. And there are times when I'm just having a hard time seeing the magic in the world. I need to reread the chapters in The Lord of the Rings with Tom Bombadil in them. And I always find it fascinating when people don't understand why those chapters are there. And like, why don't they get to the adventure quicker? Because you have to understand what's in the world worth fighting for. What is the goodness of the world? What are they actually struggling to maintain? And Goldberry's relationship just feeds my heart. And this guy who's just in his suit and hat and singing constantly. You always know he's coming because you hear him singing. He's always introduced because they hear him singing in the distance as he's approaching. There's something about this character that just feeds my soul. And he also wrote an entire book about Tom Bombadil that a lot of people don't know about that I also just absolutely love. But there's something about this character and other characters. There's something in the writing that just speaks to me. And I'm that way with a lot of other writers as well, that just when I'm in a place, there's certain musicians that I just need to, I'm in a certain state of mind. I need to hear their music. Maybe it's a particular song. I think a lot of us have that experience. That's the kind of the easiest way to connect to this idea of a soul friend, because you can in those moments really just feel them like I'm literally going here for nourishment for my soul. Like they're here to heal me on this deep level, to teach me on this deep level, to be with me on this deep level. That's why this often gets relegated into just that kind of relationship. But I also have some friends that I put into this category that I love hearing their stories about their children, their stories about their lives, their obsessed what they're into right now, the little projects that they're doing. It gives me life. And hopefully, at least for some of them, I return that in kind to them. But they're the people that I feel connected to at a level deeper than flesh and bone, deeper than even that heart emotional level. It's just, I feel connected to them at just this ground level. And I think that's how you start recognizing these people in your life, that they're not just the people you like to hang out with. They're not just the people that you tell your problems to. They're the people that you have this just deep, biting connection with. One of the things that I've noticed in my relations with a lot of people is the differentiation for me between a friend and a soul friend is with my soul friends, we don't have to talk to each other. We just be in space together and often just seem to know what the other one's thinking. We just are, we're connected. We're operating at that deeper level together and we're always trying to help each other out. It's that deeper, I keep saying deep connection, but that's what it is. It's not just this is the person that I like or know. It's this noticeably different relationship.
My first experience with an Anam Cara would have been my grandfather. Actually, both my grandfathers, because I didn't know it at the time, but we had definitely connected on that deeper level, and they instructed wasn't just the teachings, but there's definitely that healing and that rejuvenation that kind of coincided with the experiences I had with them throughout life. For instance, whenever we went to visit my grandfather on my father's side, they have a greenhouse that's been in the family for over 100 years. And in there was a lemon tree, a very old lemon tree that I don't even know how old it was, but it was very old. It may have been a 100-year-old lemon tree as far as I knew, because it had grown up so big and had been pruned back regularly that it was, I called it a lemon hedge. It was easily maybe 6 feet across, and I believe the garden beds are 4 feet deep, 4 or 5 feet deep. So it was like a 6 foot by 6 foot block that it must have easily been 6 feet tall. And the lemons it produced were far larger than a softball. They were huge. Like, I would get to pick one every time we visited, and then when we went to my mother's side of the family, I would bring it to grandma, and she would make lemon meringue pie from it. A lemon would make 2 to 3 lemon meringue pies. There was enough lemon there to make 2 lemon meringue pies and have leftover lemon from it, 'cause they were so big. They were almost the size of, I guess you could say, duck pin bowling balls. They weren't quite as big as, like, a basketball, but they were not much smaller than, and so it was always this deeper connection with the plants and with cooking and all that came from that connection with that grandfather. He's the one that would take me out and try to teach me about foraging with a lot of patience and understanding that the child's not gonna get it, but he tried. That was a difficult child.
Yeah, that's the relationship that we're talking about here. How much they were able to key in on these things that were within you and really help to bring them out and weave you into the sense of family and place and belonging in a way that was special to you still to this day.
Yeah. Yeah, because in a way, a lot of what he taught me and brought to me was a deeper respect and understanding of where the ingredients come from. Yes, he tried to teach me about growing the plants and stuff, just because that is just a family tradition and a lineage that has been passed down through the generations. I always joke that I'm the black sheep of the family because I kill most plants I try to grow. Like, they're plants that are labeled as like the most stable house plants to ever because they're so easy to take care of that I can kill pretty easily. Like, I kill mint plants. Let's put it that. Like, mint is a weed. It grows so well on its own, but if I take care, I kill it. But he was still able to connect in and go without even realizing that future path as a chef. He knew, he still took that time and knew and helped prepare me for an understanding of where these ingredients come from. So even though I might not be gifted or talented enough to be able to grow them, I still understand where they come from, how they come about, and understand the parts and the elements of the different herbs and plants and whatnot.
And in so doing, just spoke directly to your soul. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, when we're fortunate, have that with at least one of our grandparents. I know I had that with one of my grandmothers and two of my great grandparents, that I had that kind of deep relationship with. And actually, I would say two of my grandparents, because my grandpa Jake, I also had that kind of relationship with him. I wish I could have had one with my grandpa Dorset, but he died when I was so young. I was, I think, 7 when he died. And so I only have a few beautiful and precious memories of him. But that relationship there, which a lot of us have with our grandparents, is a good model to help us understand this kind of relationship with others, that they clearly understand what is best for you. And they're not preachy or pushy. Sometimes they can be a little bit, but you know what I'm saying? They're not trying to force you into their mold.
To your point, and there's this deeper level of understanding because, like, for instance, in the story I just shared, if my grandfather had been preachy or pushy, it would have been, we're going to teach this boy how to grow plants because that's what he's going to do. But instead, they let me be me and saw in me these opportunities, these things that I did have natural aptitude towards. Going back to when we're talking about the natural talents and when we were talking about the weaving of fates, these are they were able to see on that spiritual level those threads that have already been woven in to me at my beginning of, he's got a natural talent towards culinary arts, he's got a natural talent towards this, that, and the other. And they just supported that and worked within the areas that they knew they could help teach me on. So like in his case, with his plant knowledge, he could teach me on where these things come from and how plants work and operate so that I could have that deeper understanding to bring into cooking and preparing different things.
My grandma Nixon saw that I was a storyteller from a very young age, which is something that I got from her father and from my grandfather and my father. And she, every time we would go visit, she would take time to pull me aside. We'd go into the kitchen together while getting ready for a meal or something. And it would be just her and I in there. And she would give me some buttered toast because it is the way. It's just the way. And would ask me, just say to me, tell me a story. It wasn't, how is your day? How has you been since I've seen you last? She was just, with a smile on her face, just tell me a story. And that could be anything. It could be, here's a book that I was reading. Here's something me and my friends got up to. Here's a story idea that I had that's just crazy and weird and bizarre. But she would just sit and she would listen and would chime in and give her opinions, because she could see like that part of me that I hadn't even come to understand yet, that just loved telling stories. And that is that sign of that deep soul connection with somebody, that they see your potentials often before you do or before you can. They see soul longing within you that is wanting to be expressed, that's wanting to come out, and they're actively nurturing it because they are there for the deepest parts of you. They're connected into those deepest parts of you. And hopefully, in hearing these stories that Brian and I are telling about our grandparents and whatnot, maybe you see echoes of these stories, these experiences in your own life. Like, they're going to be different. because they're going to be about you and your life and your loves and your soul longing. But once you start seeing that in these people, because like I said, I think that often we have a grandparent, a cousin, an aunt, an uncle that brings this out in us. And when we start seeing that in them, we can start recognizing it in others that we meet along the way.
This is also something that can help all of us when we want to step into that mentoring role. We can look at the Anam Cara as examples of how to do it right, how to do it very effectively. As a mentor, we need to remember, because we may or may not get that deepest level connection between mentor and mentee to reach that level of Anam Cara. And that's okay. It's remembering that the choices we can make along that path are choices of making sure that we give our mentee space. We see them for who they are. We know that we're there to teach them the things that we know, the knowledge. We're there to share the knowledges that we have from and their wisdom and experience with them to help them be stronger. But we still need to see them for who they are and to try to see those paths, the gifts and talents that they bring naturally, to encourage them to bring those out and to give them the space to make their own choices. So I think that's where a lot of that possibility of stepping into Anamkara role gets hurt through when that mentor mentee relationship gets also damaged because the mentor tries to force a choice on the mentee. They try to force them down a path because of age and wisdom and experience. They think they know better. It's an easy folly to fall into because it's so tempting. Especially if you get to the point where you feel you can be a mentor to someone, you feel that you have enough experience and knowledge and wisdom in an area to share it, and in excitement of wanting to share it, it's very easy to get carried away and to start forcing a path upon them. And you have to remember to always leave space for choice. It has to be their choice. You can share with them and show them how wonderful like storytelling is, for instance, and encourage them to tell those stories and to engage in that. And it's also possible that they're just not that creative in that way. But storytelling may help them on something else that they're doing, which may be why you feel that call to still be their mentor, and giving that space and that choice and yourself being vigilant for this can help so much in that relationship, that mentor mentee relationship.
Yeah, I've had the joy of being mentored by some amazing people. That's how they treated it. And I think that this is a practice that we can take on as a spiritual practice. Thich Nhat Hanh, in a lot of his writings, talks about the second body practice, and that this is something that every Sangha should have as a part of its makeup, is that the members of the Sangha should practice second body with each other. And what that means is that someone who is outside of your family, you take responsibility for their growth, for their health, for their well-being, that you're making sure to be the one who checks up on them, that makes sure that they have what they need, that you are sharing and somebody else is doing it for you, that everybody gets gets split up and everyone has a second body, somebody who they are there to take care of and to make sure that they are getting everything that they need, that all of their needs are being met, and that they're not being neglected by the community. And it goes deeper into that of learning to meditate with each other and learning to sync up. And when you actually look at his process of developing the second body practice, it is in a way kind of a manual on how to set up this kind of anamkara relationship with among people within the Sangha. And I should have defined that term if you've not practiced Buddhism before. The Sangha is the community. It's the third of the three jewels. It's the community of practitioners that come together to practice together. And it's a wonderful practice. Anybody who is either part of a community or thinking of starting a community, the wonderful book, I think it's called Friends Along the Way, goes through all of the different things that Thich Nhat Hanh's Plum Village community really teaches to try to bring about and form a Sangha. And it's a lot of the things that we talk about. It's about having right relationship with the spirits of the land. It's about making sure that you're meeting the needs of the community that you're developing. But it also, I know that book in particular has an entire section in it on developing the second body practice and getting into this type of relationship with others. And it's a really kind of powerful thing to do. Like, I have a friend that, while we haven't formalized this in our, like, we haven't specifically sat down and went, hey, do you want to do second body practice together? We could do second body practice together where it's like, oh, here's something that might help you out. Here's you were, we just, again, in that kind of Anam Cara role that I have with this person, we just fell into doing that naturally. I think it's a distinction without a difference to talk about whether or not this connection arises naturally or is part of an active spiritual practice. Because, like you were saying, with between a mentor and a mentee, that's not necessarily a natural relationship to begin with, right? This often, if you're trying to get into a mentoring program, you have to apply, and there are stages to it. It's almost like a job interview, right? It's not like meeting somebody randomly on the street. Now, some mentorships do work like that, where you just meet somebody and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to mentor you." You know, like that does happen. A lot of these are more managed relationships in that way. That experience can be just as valid. And it's something that, especially if you see yourself as a teacher in any way, shape, or form, developing this sense, just trying to interact with people with this kind of open spaciousness where you're not trying to impose your will upon them, but you're trying to see what the best is that you can draw out of them, really is a great foundation for almost any relationship, but can really lead to this kind of special relationship that we're talking about, being soul friends. Because I don't think that this is as exclusive an idea as some tend to make it into. I've seen the idea of Anam Cara used almost as a synonym for like guru or master or ascended master or any of those ideas. And while I think you can have that relationship, I would say Jesus is my Anam Cara, right? This is one of the reasons why, even with all of my arguments with the mainstream imperial Christian church, I still call myself a Christian, right? I feel that Anam Cara, like, we are soul friends. Jesus and I are soul friends. Mary and I are soul friends. Mary Magdalene and I are soul friends. Sarah Lacali is a soul friend, right? I have these relationships with many of the saints that I have developed over many years. And those are valid, meaningful relationships. And so I think that it can exist on that level, right? But I think, to me, the end goal, like, how do we get to the blessed state? Like, how do we make the kingdom come? Like, when we say the Our Father, your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, I think we do that by treating everyone as if they were our Anam Cara. It's learning this practice of trying to help everyone be the best that they can be and trying not to impose our will on them and trying to be that soul friend to everyone. That's how we get to that place where your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, right? Where we live in that perfect blessed state in the Olam Sabah in the world to come. I think that's how we get there. But maybe that's just, so I would love to know in the comments, what's your experience with soul friends? You don't have to name names, you don't have to be specific. Is this the first time you've even heard the idea? I would love to know. If you're listening to us on YouTube or Spotify, you can leave a comment right there. If you're listening to us anywhere else, even if they say you can leave a comment, that bird, even if they say you can leave a comment, you can't leave, they won't let us know. So you can leave a comment there anyway, because engagement is magic. And then head over to creationspass.com and click on chat. And you can leave a message there. We will see it and we will be able to get back to you. While you're there, if you happen to have a few dollars to pass our way, we offer monthly and annual memberships. And that really does help us out a lot. Thank you to everybody who does that, by the way. You can also support us on Patreon and Ko-fi. I am CE Dorset on both. Or you can support us through the Cash App hashtag Creations Pass. Thank you to everybody who does that. It really does help us keep doing everything that we're doing. If you don't have any money right now, or you're not sure that we're the kind of people that you want to give your hard-earned treasure to, that's perfectly all right. Very understandable. But if anything that we've said has ever helped you or you think would help somebody else, please share it with them, because that helps us out more than you could ever possibly know. And as we're going out, I like to say a prayer at the end of these. And I think for me, the prayer has to be who I think is the ultimate Anam Cara, the queen of all souls, the queen of all hearts, O Blessed Mary, mother of all the world, queen of all hearts, queen of the angels, bless us and keep us. Never has it been known that anyone who has flown to your patronage has ever been sent away. Help us to find our soul friends and to be soul friends to all those that we meet and encounter, that we may bring about that blessed day when the kingdom of God, that wonderful state of peace and justice reigns on this world. Amen.
Amen.